So up until now, you've thought dynamics is just about keeping the track quiet. Well, I'm about to tell you why that's not true. So when you're thinking about dynamics on a track, most of the time people are thinking, okay, well, if you leave enough headroom, then the track's going to move like this and that's going to give you dynamics. Which is, yes, to a certain degree, that is totally correct. The track needs to have some space so it moves, and that's the dynamic. That's the dynamic of the track. But let me just tell you how I approach dynamics, and I approach them in a different way. Because we have to get tracks to a certain level, whether you like it or not, people want tracks loud. Always have done, always will do. So I've got to get it loud, but make it sound dynamic. But it's very difficult to get things to sound loud and dynamic at the same time, because obviously the level needs to fluctuate a lot. So the way that I work is I'm using compressors to use as dynamic. So they are dynamics, obviously, but I'm using a compressor to really crush the sound in. And so what that does is, if you're using a compressor so that it sounds like it's tight, and then you EQ in certain places so that you can make the EQ quite spiky, then that way it gives a sound that sounds dynamic and sounds kind of, because it's all here, when you just EQ certain bits, that makes it sound like it's dynamic as the track's going. So using a dynamic EQ is a really good example of how to do this. So you've got it compressing, it's really in your face, it's quite loud, the RMS and the LUFS, however you're measuring, is quite tight, so you are loud. But then you'll use certain dynamic EQs, say around 1.7K, maybe around 50 Hertz in the bass, you need to use your ears and use different cues. And then by having that spiky EQ going on, it just gives this effect of it being really super dynamic. So that's how I use dynamics in a mastering way where I have to get things loud. Ideally, yeah, you don't have to get things loud and it's super dynamic, but in the real world, people always want it louder than that. So get it loud. Get it so that you're using the compressors and they're really smooth and it all sound, and the picture in front of you, always use it as like a canvas in front of you. It's all there, it's all kind of quite flat but not crushed, and then use spiky dynamic EQ to then really sort of draw out those little center points of things that are happening, and then that gives it this kind of fake dynamics to your ears. I hope you've got something out of that. I hope try it. Let me know in the comments how you do it and how you get some spiky dynamics going in tracks. I'd love to definitely hear how you're doing that. I'm always willing to learn new stuff. If you like this kind of thing, please make sure you subscribe to the channel and go to my website streaky.com, sign up for the Audio Anoraks newsletter where I give giveaways and discounts every month on stuff that I'm given and people that I know in the industry. So go to streaky.com where you can sign up for the Audio Anoraks newsletter. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.